When Yu Zhenghai heard this, he frowned slightly. After I came out of cultivating in seclusion, I heard Master single-handedly drove away the 10 great elites. He should be living out his days in the evil sky pavilion. What's the matter with this box? This box is extremely mysterious. Heaven-grade weapons can do nothing against it. It needs 6 weapons to be unlocked. Now, all we need is your Jasper Saber and 6 junior sisters' amorous hoop. The amorous hoop is currently in Master's possession. Yu Zhenghai said, Master has many treasures, and yet he's fussing over this particular one. Do you know what's inside? Si Wuya shook his head. I have no idea. However, the more precious it is, the more reason for us to unlock it. Treasures should not remain sealed. If you want to flatten the divine capital, it's better for you to have as many treasures as possible, eldest senior brother. You have a point. Yu Zhenghai raised his right hand slightly. There was a flash of light in the flying chariot. The Jasper Saber flew into his hand. Place it into the groove, and it'll activate the contraption. Si Wuya pointed at one of the grooves. However, Yu Zhenghai did not place his Jasper Saber into it. Instead, he glanced at the pattern on the box and said, Second junior brother has made his choice. You've also made your choice, 7th junior brother. If I refuse to unlock the box, what will you do? Si Wuya smiled faintly. It seemed as though he had expected this. He answered, This box was brought down the mountain by 4th senior brother Ming Shirin. He has a heaven-grade weapon that resembles a hook and a blade at the same time. 4th senior brother has given me a limit of 7 days. If this box remains locked, I'm afraid that Master will get angry. When a person gets old, he's bound to get cranky. Yu Zhenghai flicked his finger lightly. Ping! The Jasper Saber spun in the air. However, it did not enter the groove on the mysterious box. Instead, it sailed toward a group of cultivators gathered under the flying chariot. Si Wuya was taken aback. He looked down, stupefied. The Azure Dragon's headquarters? When the Jasper Saber shot out of the flying chariot, it spun clockwise in the air. Every blade of energy morphed into the likeness of the Jasper Saber. The real Jasper Saber was shrouded in a body of dense energy. It was like a huge cartwheel that stirred up primal chi. The primal chi shot out and condensed into energy that formed miniature Jasper Sabers. The Great Dark Heaven Memorial. The Dark Heaven Starlight, Si Wuya said with a nod. The Great Dark Heaven Memorial was a cultivation method Yu Zhenghai was famous for. Ever since he obtained the Jasper Saber, he merged the Great Dark Heaven method and his sword skills through his own insight and hard work. Even his peers would not underestimate the force of this skill. Needless to say, these sorry excuses of cultivators from the Azure Dragon Association did not stand a chance. When they looked up and discovered the rain of blades, it was already too late. There was a drizzle of blood accompanied by a foul wind. The Jasper Saber was an outstanding weapon among heaven-grade weapons to begin with. It could easily break through protective energy layers around the mediocre cultivators. Some avatars, which were only half a person's height, had only appeared for an instant before being destroyed by the Great Dark Heaven Memorial's rain of blades. In the time it took for them to take a breath, the Jasper Saber returned to Yu Zhenghai's hand. The saber appeared no different from before. It looked ordinary and insignificant. It was as though one would find it lying around in any blacksmith's workshop. For great protectors, Yu Zhenghai said indifferently, Clean it up? Yes, Secmaster. The 4 great protectors leaped off the flying chariot one after another. After 4 of them left the flying chariot, for colossal 100 tribulations, insight avatars lined up in a row. The golden lotuses beneath their feet had at least 6 leaves. Si Wuya knew the nether sect was powerful, but did not expect it to be this extent. This had truly exceeded his expectations. Apart from the 4 great protectors, Yu Zhenghai had thousands upon thousands of sect members and many powerful cultivators spread out across the land. It was shocking to imagine what kind of methods his eldest senior brother must have employed to recruit so many experts into the nether sect with his personal abilities. He turned to look at Yu Zhenghai. Yu Zhenghai did not even deign to look at the Azure Dragon's headquarters. Instead, he was looking at the scenery in the distance. Junior brother Wuya, there's no need to be surprised. The Azure Dragon Association is an ally to my sect on the surface, but they bite the hand that feeds them. They had this coming. Yu Zhenghai said nonchalantly. Si Wuya was not shocked. He had appraised Nether Sect's strength once before. If the Nether Sect did not possess true strength, it would never be able to become the greatest cult under the heavens. He smiled faintly before he said, "Nice move, eldest senior brother." "You flatter me, junior brother. Come, let's have another toast." Yu Zhenghai raised his hand, and the cup of wine on the table flew toward him, with his cultivation base. He could already move objects with his energy as if it was second nature to him. Si Wuya replied earnestly, "Sure." After they emptied their cups, the four great protectors walked toward them on air before entering the flying chariot one after the other. "Sect Master, the cleaning up has been done." "Very good." Yu Zhenghai placed his wine cup down. The four great protectors retreated to his back respectfully. Si Wuya put his cup down as well and said, "I've seen the display and have had my drink. Eldest senior brother, about the box." Yu Zhenghai raised a hand to interrupt him. "If you didn't come, if it had been anyone else, I would never agree to unlock this box. But since you asked, I have no reason to not give you face. I'll unlock the box. However," he paused for a moment before continuing, "not today." "Why?" Si Wuya asked, puzzled. 7 days later, I'll personally deliver this box to Old Eight's Tiger Ridge. I'll take this opportunity to visit him as well. I'd like to reminisce," Yu Zhenghai said. Si Wuya nodded and said, "That's a good plan. Old Seventh, aren't you going to ask me why I'm giving you this excuse?" "I've always felt at ease when you're the one doing things. Eldest senior brother." "I have no need to doubt you," Si Wuya said calmly. Yu Zhenghai laughed heartily. "The person I admire the most under the heavens is you, seventh junior brother." "You flatter me, eldest senior brother," Si Wuya said with a smile. He stood up as soon as he finished speaking. The flying chariot continued moving toward Pingda Mountain. Si Wuya looked at the chariot's course and said, "Eldest senior brother, I have something else to attend to. I'll have to trouble you with the box then." "It's a trivial matter." Yu Zhenghai nodded calmly. "If you meet second junior brother, tell him this. If he's free, I would like to spar with him." If you want to keep your blade sharp, you must temper it frequently. I think that it's the same for second junior brother's sword," Yu Zhenghai said slowly. "You have a point, eldest senior brother. As the saying goes, it's like meeting a formidable opponent in chess or to encounter a talented person while selecting a general without a worthy opponent. It's difficult to maintain one's combat skills fighting third-rate opponents all the time." After that, Si Wuya cupped his hands together and said, "I'll convey your message to second senior brother." "Go then." Yu Zhenghai waved his hand while drinking some more wine. Si Wuya leaped off the flying chariot. He dove down and vanished in the blink of an eye. Yu Zhenghai's four great protectors who stood behind him positioned themselves around the flying chariot. They took up a corner each. One of the great protectors bowed and said, "Sect Master, this man is slightly hypocritical. He ingratiates himself to you and flatters you. We should be on guard against him." The protector's voice had barely faded when Yu Zhenghai glared at him. A great dark heaven's palm print hit the protector's chest. The protector dared not fight back. He took the blow squarely. He grunted as he doubled over. His chi and blood were surging. He fell to one knee and said, "Please forgive me, Sect Master. I have spoken out of turn. This strike is only a minor punishment. Seven junior brother isn't someone who could be judged by you lot of people." The protector lowered his head and dared not say anything. "The four of you are my most trusted subordinates. If it weren't for seven junior brothers' efforts behind the scenes, do you think the Nether Sect can attain its current glory?" The protector's eyes widened. He dared not say a word. Yu Zhenghai shook his head. His voice softened. "This strike isn't only a punishment. It's also a warning. Never underestimate anyone." "You're right, Sect Master." Meanwhile, after Si Wuya landed, a swift-moving flying chariot sped over from the other side of the divine capital. It flew at a low altitude at specific angles and routes which avoided the Imperial Guard's defenses. The flying chariot came to halt beside Si Wuya. More than 10 cultivators left the chariot and came to Si Wuya's side. They bowed at the same time. Sect Master, the Nether Sect has been doing away with opposing factions in a frenzy lately. Everything between the Divine Capital and Pingdom Mountain now belongs to the Nether Sect. Since you have deep ties with the Nether Sect, Si Wuya raised a hand. There's no need to worry. Sometimes the outcome of a battle isn't decided by the size of the force. A sentence, a person, or an item could easily change the outcome on a battlefield. I'm sure eldest senior brother understands this. He did not get to where he is now by not knowing anything after all. What about the Evil Sky Pavilion's box? I expected that eldest senior brother would keep it. Also, did you leak the information to the Clarity Sect? Si Wuya asked. We have. Very good. Let it progress on its own from now. There's no need to meddle anymore. Understood. Some things merely needed a single push. The more naturally things progressed, the more real it would seem. Sect Master, there's a piece of information from the Darknet. Wei Zhuyan's men are already at Tongzi Town. Continue to monitor them. Understood. Si Wuya glanced at his flying chariot and said, I don't need the flying chariot this time. I suddenly have the urge to stroll around the Divine Capital. When his subordinates heard this, they bowed and retreated silently. Si Wuya proceeded toward the Divine Capital with his hands on his back. The Divine Capital. In a quiet courtyard of the Changning General Mansion, Wei Zhuyan was relaxing on a recliner and enjoying the warmth from the sun on his skin. General, our men have reached Tongzi Town, a maidservant next to him said. Wei Zhuyan nodded and said indifferently, It's only a formality. All we have to do is accompany them along the way. Sending that number of men and cultivators to the Evil Sky Pavilion is no different from sending them to their deaths. If she likes to hit a rock with an egg, then let her do it. You're right, General. However, the lady is currently a favorite of His Highness. We can't provoke her. Wei Zhuyan snorted. I'd like to see how long she'll remain a favorite. Her subordinate, Qin Zhu, was one of the Divine Capital's 3 godly archers. However, he had recently lost his life in the Grand Witchcraft Formation when he went to the Measure Heaven River. Did she think I won't find out about it despite her numerous attempts to conceal this from me? Lord Qin Zhu is dead? It's just as well. I despise arrogant people like him. He thought he was invincible just because he can shoot a few arrows, Wei Zhuyan said. If you think it's good, General, then it is good. Nobody in the palace knows about this yet. Send someone to leak this information to His Highness, Wei Zhuyan said. Understood. After a while, the maidservant seemed to hesitate before she said, However, I'm curious. Qin Zhu is a 6-leaf godly archer. He had never missed a shot. Who could kill him? Wei Zhuyan shook his head and said, I've thought about that as well. Alas, there are far too few clues about the battle at Measure Heaven River. The activation of the Grand Witchcraft Formation is as good as destroying all the evidence. We have no way of uncovering the truth. However, since that person is capable of killing Qin Zhu, he must be an elite. I hope he's not an enemy of mine. You're an important officer of the Empire who wields great military strength, General. Who would dare to make an enemy out of you? The maidservant said ingratiatingly. Unfortunately, Wei Zhuyan seemed unmoved by her flattery. With the position he held, he was used to all kinds of flattery. He merely chuckled before he said, The Evil Sky Pavilion is powerful. They're not to be taken lightly. General, the Evil Sky Pavilion has sent word demanding that you admit to your crimes. They're clearly taking us lightly. Of the Evil Sky Pavilion's 9 disciples, the first disciple is a Nether Sect Master, Yu Zhenghai. His strength is unfathomable. Why don't we work together with the Nether Sect? The maidservant said softly. Wei Zhuyan was slightly taken aback, but he was not angry. He said calmly, The noble and fiend paths will never tolerate each other. Don't bring this up again. Understood. Meanwhile, Wei Zhuyan's men and the red-robe cultivators had gathered in Tongzi Town. My lords, Tongzi Town isn't far from Golden Court Mountain. We'll be able to reach the mountain by today. a soldier said to the red-robe cultivators. "There's no hurry." A red-robe cultivator waved his hand. He sauntered over to the perimeter of Tongzi town and surveyed the surroundings. The dense forest had concealed Golden Court Mountain. The flatlands had been converted to fertile farmlands by the people of Tongzi town. "We'll march to Golden Court Mountain at first light," the red-robe cultivator said. "Understood." The red-robe cultivator, who had spoken, waved at the other red-robe cultivators. There were about 30 of them, and they gathered and stood in 3 rows. 3,000 mounted soldiers stood behind them. However, the 30 red-robe cultivators did not walk into the town. Instead, they walked along the flatlands. The 3,000 mounted soldiers were bewildered by the cultivators' actions. The red-robe cultivators began picking up their pace. Soon after, their feet left the ground, looking like ghosts hovering above the farmlands. It was a chilling sight. At this moment, the red-robe cultivators released a peculiar energy from their bodies, frightening the birds into taking flight and the beasts into hiding. The red-robe cultivators changed formations from 3 lines to 1 line before it settled in a semicircle before they marched to the Golden Court Mountain. In a blink of an eye, the 30 red-robe cultivators disappeared. The 3,000 mounted soldiers exchanged looks among themselves. Feeling helpless, they had no choice but to set up camp near Tongzi town. Midnight, the sounds of roaring wind, wailing, and the crackling of fire rang from the direction of Golden Court Mountain's direction. The noises lasted an entire night. Early the next morning, the 30 red-robe cultivators appeared outside their camp in neat rows. It was as though they had waited all night. And my lords, when the military officer of the mounted soldiers woke up, he was shocked by the presence of the red-robe cultivators. A red-robe cultivator said calmly, "Let's go." Evil Sky Pavilion. Zhou glanced at the progress of the boxes unlocking under the mission tab. It showed 4 out of 6. In other words, there were 2 weapons that had not been used on the box yet. One of them was the amorous hoop that was in his possession. According to Mingshi Yin, all that was left was his first disciples, Yu Zhenghai, Jasper Saber. He rose to his feet slowly and closed the system dashboard. "Yuan-er." Little Yuan-er ran in from the outside and said, "Master, you called? Any news from Jiang Aijin?" "No," Little Yuan-er said as she shook her head. "Maybe he's busy trying to get to his dragon song." Zhou stood up with his hands on his back and descended the stairs. Little Yuan-er walked up to Zhou obediently and supported him. At this moment, a female cultivator walked slowly into the great hall. "Pavilion Master, someone from the palace requests an audience." "Who is it?" Zhou asked calmly. Little Yuan-er added, "If everyone is just allowed to meet Master, my master will be exhausted to death." The female cultivator bowed and said, "He's sent by Wei Zhuyen." "Where's Wei Zhuyen?" "He's not here." However, the red-robe cultivator seems to have a profound cultivation base.